Welcome back to the forum. I'm John Mullen, and today we're going to be having on John Packer Stevenson, who was my first boss in SPO, the man that walked alongside me for years, even before I entered the Catholic Church, and one of the most significant brothers and mentors in my life. So it's an honor to have him on. We just got back from a Cornerstone men's retreat this weekend, so we're both a little bit punch drunk, but it was an awesome weekend, and I can't wait to talk with you today. Before we get into that, a quick note. If you're new to the forum, please go to Substack and subscribe so you get notified when new episodes drop. And please, if any of this sparks comments or questions from you, post them. I look at everyone, and I want to get a conversation going, because if we don't get out of the consumption trap of endlessly consuming content and then going on to the next content, we'll never build a culture. So please, use this as a chance to join the conversation, both on Substack and especially in person. Now with that, let's get into it.
We got 500 people in OCIA, 6,000 people coming to Mass on Sundays, 2,000 or more in small groups.
You have to be initiated so that you can be brought to the point of your own insufficiency.
It goes boyhood, cowboy, warrior, lover, king, sage, or 6 stages of masculine initiation.
See, how do you enter that space without feeling like you're dying?
We want to change the culture, and the way you change the culture is through saints.
Do you know who understands that we're a culture, subculture under threat?
Church is family. And you don't really pick the family you're born into.
Who could have predicted the linear impact of bringing Gavin into OSU? But it made it a lot more complex, but a lot more fruitful.
Yeah, that was, you want straws that stir the drink, like Gavin.
Yeah.
You want to hire talented people and then try to mitigate their downside.
Don't point your hands at me.
I was.
You're lucky this is a non-swearing podcast. Yeah. I mean
everyone has downsides. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, like Bill Gates is a nerd.
Yeah.
Wozniak had an ego.
Yeah.
So like all these geniuses have downsides, but if you're able, the Beatles are a great example too. If you're able just to like keep them together just long enough, magic happens.
Right.
And
do you think, though, that all great teams like that have a shelf life?
Yes.
So you think that's just baked into the cake? That's like, you're never going to have Mitch, Tim, Gavin, Keeby, me, did I say Gavin already? Yeah. In the same state for more than a few years.
I don't know if it's state. You guys don't all work together. That's an important thing.
Kind of do. We're on the same ecosystem.
Yeah, same ecosystem, but you're not in the same band.
Ah.
You know?
Not stirring each other's soup.
You don't all work for SPO together.
Correct.
And ego is what usually bombards those things. Sometimes call, like I'm a casualty of a call. Mm-hmm. But also just the reality of like, I don't know how willing I would have been to play second fiddle for a large extended period of time.
Sure.
In a world where like Gavin's running on the ground, Keeby's doing the fun stuff, and I'm just the go-between. Like, I don't even know if I would have been funded.
It's kind of like that. You were good at being the glue, though.
Yeah, but like the glue's not worth,
This is where we get into the conversation of like what's the game that we're playing.
Ooh, I think
that's to flip it around on you.
That's my arena talk.
Yeah, it is. That's what you.
What is the game?
You've quoted that to me dozens of times. So. Call this mini comeuppance. I kid. Yeah. But I never thought that you were playing a cynical game when you went from SPO to Texas A&M. I could see how someone would maybe get that impression from the outside, but I always understood that you were looking out for what was best for your family, for your maximal development as a person, as a professional, and also discerning a genuine call.
Yeah.
Like I see that as a both and, not an either or. And I don't know, and this is, previously I was talking with another guest about holy ambition, and playing the right game ties into that perfectly. Because how do you keep your own motives pure as you discern a potential relocation like that?
That's really good. So the biggest thing, you got to have a habit of just not making decisions based on ego. And I am no perfect man, but my history and career in SPO was such that I was a missionary for 4 years. Like, people get promoted. Like, they just hired someone who's going to be a chapter leader their first year.
That was me.
I was a chapter leader my 5th year.
You hired me as a chapter leader first year.
That's right. Yeah, you were also a little older with experience, but
so
22-year-old. Not that old.
I was a decade older than you when you came in.
You had experience.
Yeah.
Valuable experience.
Yeah, semi-valuable.
But you can't. So I gave a talk in a bunch of like Steubenville catechetics majors here for a couple of years, and they'd ask me like, "What is one piece of advice?" I was like, "Don't let your ego dictate your ministry moves."
Ooh.
And what happens is people feel slighted, like, "Oh, I'm not getting the development I need," which is valid sometimes, but most of the time it's just you being a little whiny person. No swearing podcast. And you can't let your ego. So I think that helped give me, not perfect, but gave me a foundation for this decision. I wasn't looking to leave because I didn't feel valued. I wasn't looking to leave because I wasn't even looking to leave at all. It almost like Lord kind of like opened a door and was like, you need to check this out. And then when I walked through that door, I was like, oh, shoot, this is good. And my ambition was for his kingdom, not for my platform. Like, I was like, look, I will die. I'm already pretty convinced it's going to be Mitch Wilson's and Companions, when the chapter closes on Columbus. And I was like, I will happily be a companion, And
he's been a good successor to you, for sure.
That's good. Well, he's the hero. He's the real hero.
Fascinating. Why do you say that?
He's the guy. So what you think about when you think about great men, and this is what we miss when we talk about saints, but saints actually were like the Steve Jobs of the spiritual life. They were unbelievably gifted, talented. They're different people.
Yeah.
And they have different gifts. They weren't like, we're always like, any old person could be a saint. Sure, there's some of those, but most of them are just like, these guys held back emperors. They like, they like evangelized sultans. They were like amazing people. And Mitch has otherworldly gifts, and it's not necessarily his like oratory, but it's his heart. His heart is different. His
heart's always present
and
I've noticed that.
Grateful. He's joyful.
Yes.
He's seen positive, and his heart's present. That's a good way to describe it.
And he's come through a tremendous amount of suffering without being soured by it.
Yeah.
I'm what you call a suffering maximizer. I wring the last little bit of it out of whatever I endure.
Because you enjoy that, right?
I do.
Yeah.
It's the melancholic.
Yeah.
Which is why I think that I have intentionally stoked the flame of my choleric nature, because I'm a balance.
Yeah.
I'm melancholic primary, choleric secondary. The choleric is the dry heat that pushes me out. And so I've intentionally leaned into that to become more disagreeable and bombastic and opinionated than I normally would be. Because as a child, I was extremely sensitive, internal, and sad. Not sad, but like prone to sadness, prone to lowering. And so at some point I realized that was going to be a liability, and I worked to balance it with the angry outward facing instead of the sad inward facing. It's not a perfect strategy. It tends to make me like brain first. So when people interact with me for the first time, they see brain first.
Yep.
The heart is sometimes obscured behind that because it comes across as dry and aggressive. But the heart is very, very sensitive. Within that is just protected and directed outwards with a lot of intentionality. And so the task of my middle third of life will be to weave that back together, to have the head and the heart integrated, so that it's not hidden behind excessive vocabulary or excessive theory or excessive like dry heat or opposition, but it can be a yes and kind of energy.
That's good.
A building upon.
Marriage helps with that.
Yeah. I'm kind of scared of it for that reason.
The time also. Time. God works through time.
Yeah.
That's my conviction, is how patient God is. And when we're in sanctifying grace and we live life with the Lord in that place, he does way more than we understand or realize.
Yeah. Talk for a minute about how marriage helps with that process. Because
marriage puts you in contact with the feminine, right?
Yeah. Which is, in other words, what I just said, but in different words. So in contact with the feminine, tell me what that has been, because you're a driver. You are an ambitious man. You have a goal project, like momentum-oriented character build. And so you've had to learn how to nurture, protect, cherish, slow down, and then be internal to some extent.
Yeah, it took a long time. What slowed me down? I'm really starting to slow down recently. It was a grace. It was a year and a half ago. I went on vacation to Colorado, And it was kind of a weird vacation. Anyways, through weird circumstances, we weren't at my parents' place. We were at a different house. Like, my parents' place was booked. It wasn't ideal.
Mm-hmm.
But we're at this kind of small mountain house, and you ever seen the movie Office Space?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a cult classic.
Printer beatdown scene.
Yes, yeah. But the main character kind of like just stops caring,
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that exact thing happened to me, but I did sort of transcend, like where work didn't have the same pull on me as it always did. Except before that, I just really, like Driver, really obsessed around the next thing. And I go on vacation and I'm like not really on vacation. I wish I wasn't here, but I wish I could be here at the same time.
That's exactly how retreats feel to me, by the way.
I was completely present. I would sit on the couch and the wind would blow the blinds and I would read this book by Steinbeck. I think it's John Steinbeck. But I think it was like him writing about him traveling around the country with his dog.
No way.
It was like a funny, just really nothing book
just
I never would pick up.
Yeah.
Throwaway book.
Yeah, airport book.
Yeah, and I would hang out with my family in the evening and eat my food slower. I would go out after dinner and have like a cigarette.
I gulp my food every meal. I have for my entire adult life.
We'd hang out with my family. I'd put the kids down. And we'd just like, what do we want to do tonight? And I didn't have any like preconceived plans. Like, we're doing this and it's going to be fun.
See, how do you enter that space without feeling like you're dying? Because whenever I slow down enough, if I'm not having like some breakthrough conversation moment of connection, and I'm blessed enough right now to be dating a great woman, and there's moments of tremendous emotional connection there that are awesome, and they're impactful, and they're changing a dynamic, and there's a momentum there. But you're talking more about a slow enjoying of something that's already established, which to me, I don't know how to enter into that space as well. Because if I don't know what my goal is, then I feel like I'm going to collapse back into my sad interiority, right? Like if you take away my choleric missional side, then my melancholic, ruminative, like collapse side, that's what I fear. It's like I don't know how to be in either, without one of those two modes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was a grace. I didn't make that experience happen.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to give you.
No. I mean, yeah.
It was God. It was something that He decided was a time for me to experience and step out of a new. It was a new experience in my life. I've never experienced something like that.
Yeah.
And there's been ripples of it since, and not that I can go back to the same exact place.
You can never
where I was.
recreate the same moment twice.
So I was back in Colorado this past summer, and it was nice. But a part of me, it was nice because a part of me remembered more of it than I usually remember it, not all of it, and then I yearned for it again. But you
that's
push
like
that yearning.
C.S. Lewis stuff, like surprised by joy type stuff.
Yeah,
a childhood glimpse of a far off country that you spend the rest of your adult life moving back to.
So heaven's more like that, I think, than what you're describing.
Endless projects, or melancholic rumination.
Probably.
No, heaven's endless projects, and they're all fun. Like that's the thing that made sense of heaven for me, and this changed for me back in my evangelical days. Like I realized that heaven was not just endless staring at the beatific vision on a cloud, but that one of the implications of that is endless outward expansive exploration and system building as the direct fruit of the beatific vision. Like it's two sides of the same coin. I used this in a conversation in a small group the other night. Some people want the calm, intuitive, emotional connection. Some people want the strategic, intentional, long vision. But if you flip from one side of the coin to the other fast enough, eventually the coin begins to resemble a sphere, not a duality. It's a unity comprised of a duality. At that point, boom, the thing begins to glow with a halo and levitate, and that's why saints levitate, by the way. But that's why saints' lives are the way they are, because they are comprised of pure intentionality and pure intuition at the same time. That's why I think contemplation of the beatific vision is at once contemplative and active. Does that make sense?
Yep. I think as a driver, it's my greatest desire that things would be accomplished.
Yes. I think we desire to drive because it is a subconscious demand of our personality that at best will be connected with the beatific vision and the communio, the communion of saints, and at worst is a distraction and a replacement God. It's like one of those powerful, powerful urges, almost like the male libido is one of those civilization creating or vastly destructive, but it's outward orienting regardless.
Yeah.
It's a pre-moral essence, which then has a moral valence depending on its application.
Yep. And we mirror God in that our ability given to us by God, our ability and desire to create. Because for some reason, God had a desire to create.
He loves delegating. For some reason, God loves delegating.
And his very essence is, it creates. And so we tap into that. And so I think the fullness of my creatorness, little KC, is found in God the Father. So I see heaven as like God doing it and me plugged into God doing it and it being awesome because it's so much better than I could have even understood. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard how well God creates and sustains. And I get to be on that team and that process as it unfolds. And my mind is continually blown in an infinite, like just vastness of his incredible creatorness.
Yeah, and that unites the interiority and the exteriority.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like plugged in.
That's a convergence moment.
Okay.
That's a moment in which multiplicity unites into unity.
Yeah.
That's the magic moment. And that sense of convergence is a deeply sacramental experience, which is why sacramentality as a worldview is not merely an external ritual, getting things done, quote unquote, but an interior reordering and moment of contact with the divine. So it is both, which is why I converted, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I knew that the sacramental was the symbolic, and the symbolic was the convergent. I saw multiple strands of meaning and story and narrative converge into the same node around the Eucharist, because there's no more perfect symbol of the way reality holds together. What is bread? It's a bunch of seeds. And what is a seed? You love this.
Yeah,
but this is our favorite Peugeot talking point. We'll get into that in a minute. But a seed is a perfect encapsulation of the information that is required to unpack a tree. And a tree is just a symbol for a human life or a moment of like a cultural unfolding, a growing thing that has a central root, a central origin point, and then fills a space, right? So it's got unity in the trunk, multiplicity in the branches, and it's held together by the same subsidiarity structure. It's a nested branching system, right? Which is beautiful. And so you get the expression of fruiting at the edges, the leaves and then the fruits born on the edges of the branches, never from the trunk, always on the branches, and then they fall and reproduce. So it's perfectly representing the way like reality works. This up from beneath, the hidden rooted network, you don't get to see it, but it branches just like the tree does up above. And then it converges into the trunk, sends out leaves and twigs and branches into the sky, the ethereal plane of being, in which heaven is closer than earth. And then from that develops fruit, which is the combination of heavenly identity and earthly materiality, drops it, the fruit dies, the seed is planted in the womb of the earth, and then the cycle begins anew. It's this beautiful, like, cosmological symbol, and Christ uses that metaphor to say, that's what I am. I'm the seed. Logos is word, word is essence, intent, seed. And then so plant me in the tomb, in 3 days I will rise. And then what is bread? Grind up seeds, destroy, like dead, if you will, seeds that are ground up into something that then nourishes an entire people. It's the perfect symbol. And then couple that with wine, all of that imagery still applies because grapes are just another form of seed. But then bread gives sustenance, wine gives joy. And so the two things are abundance, and that's what nourishes. That's the body and blood that nourishes the body of Christ. And so Eucharist, thanksgiving, Eucharistos, I think, Euchariste, is this perfect moment of both contemplation, exaltation, thanksgiving, and then the application is a life of perpetual ritual enactment of death and life. That's the liturgical calendar. We're in the season of Lent, looking forward to the season of Easter. Those things always roll into one another. There's a circularity, but also a linearity, because Christ has come once. We reenact, we enter into, we remember the sacrifice that was made once every Mass, but it's always the same sacrifice. And so there's a linearity there. It's like from there till the apocalypse, one sacrifice. But a circularity in how we approach it, because it's a rhythm and pattern of annual repetition. And so that's why the Eucharist is the perfect symbol, and that's why I became Catholic. But how do we plant those seeds of culture with that kind of mentality in place? Because most men in the culture are not ready to have that conversation. Like with that level that we just unpacked there, 1% of the population is ready to talk or think like that. And so then how do we take the kind of culture building that's Eucharistic and plant it in the here and now? And that, I think, is what you learned how to do with SPO, and now you're doing it at Texas A&M. But you didn't just get there. You had a process of exploration by which you became ready to talk with me explicitly in 2021 about these Jonathan Pageau type like symbolic world ideas. You probably wouldn't have been ready 10 years ago. I wouldn't have been ready 10 years prior to that. There was like a growth and a maturing process to you, but you also had the native gifting to come into the world of SPO and ministry with a ton of native momentum and formation, both human formation from a good, solid Texas Catholic family, and then an initiation into masculinity through your time at the Corps of Cadets. And then somehow God got a hold of your heart to call you on a specific mission to a particular people within SPO. All those things had to line up. And how would you tell that story, like in a few minutes now, looking back at it? If you can, I know it's a big ask to try to package a life into, but that's what I see of your story from what I know of it. I'd love to know more.
It's good. It's a lot.
I know.
I mean, a few thoughts were going through my head while you were talking. I think I've always been someone who's just been dissatisfied with shallow answers. And I felt like a lot of the answers I was getting growing up just weren't helping me. And then when I oh man, what did I say? So I'll just jump around.
Do it.
When you're talking, and when I joined SPO staff out of college, I think what I resonated with was like, I think we're actually trying to win. And what is the game we're playing? I didn't know what winning even really was or looked like, but I just knew I didn't say yes to this to like putz around for a few years, you know? And I knew God's big, and I know like the world's really big, and like I'm just a small little guy in Texas State being a missionary is where I got sent my first assignment. And I was the first team there, so everything we're doing new.
Wow.
But I just knew we weren't there to just create nice boys. I knew, and I don't know, it's so hard to, I think I credit, well, here's what it is. When I first encountered SPO, I was at Texas A&M. I finished my freshman year. I went to the schooling called School of Evangelization. It was...
How in the world did you get the invite to that?
It's super random. But actually, friend of a friend was working in Youth Arise in Arizona. No one knows what that is, but Ryan O'Hara was talking about it. Oh, no. Ryan O'Hara was in Youth Arise. He left that to go to SPO. And then another buddy who was at Youth Arise grew up with a friend from college, and this friend from college asked this friend from Youth Arise, what's going on in campus ministry? He's like, I don't know, but my buddy Ryan went to go work for SPO. You should check them out. So he told me, this buddy who then told me.
So you're just poking around asking questions.
My buddy came to me. He asked me to come to
SPO. So you just got lucky.
And I was like, sign me. I got lucky.
Wow.
I mean, Providence, whatever you want to say.
Providence.
But I went to this thing, 150-person conference, 2 weeks long, but it's really deep and incredible content I hadn't heard anywhere else.
Was that Gordy talking?
Gordy was talking. Father Brian Fisher now was talking. Andrew Keeby was talking. These guys were talking in a way that I never heard before.
What was different about how they talked?
We're reading encyclicals. The depth is like, but I think what I caught in that is actually, I think we can build culture and win. And maybe what I would say now is what I sniffed is we want to build saints. And that's an active work and a mysterious work. Ultimately, God calls and equips, but there's something about the vision for going all in that gives God the capacity to then build. There's no saint who ever existed who didn't drop their nets and sell all for Jesus. And I saw that and I heard that.
You wanted that.
Yeah.
What was it about you that made you demand the all-in call?
It's innate, man. I don't know. God, it's a gift.
We always like that?
it's grace. I think so, because I was really disengaged for a long time, really disenfranchised, really like,
Okay.
I think I had been somewhat of an all or nothing guy for a lot of my life.
Same.
It's just because I don't want things that are fake and gay. Can I say the gay?
Sure.
Okay. Is that better?
Why?
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from? Was that family, or was that just a gift? Was that a one-off? Like, how in the world do you replicate that all-in instinct? Because that's what it takes. Nothing less than that will do.
And I've fallen so short so often in my life with that instinct. But man, that desire is there, and it rends me sometimes. But I think it's grace, and I think what I came to understand with that desire is, I want, like, it's in SPO. I learned this through SPO. My mentors, Father Brian Fisher, the Gordy, Todd Covarrubias, Andrew Keebe, Sam Schoenfelder, these men taught me, we want to change the culture, and the way you change the culture is through saints. I mean, Dr. Peter Kraft has the most famous and well done, it's an essay, but also a book called How to Win the Culture War. You know, it's written in like the late 90s, early 2000s. This guy was way ahead of the curve, and everyone's like, you know, culture war this, culture war that. And he's like, how you win is saints. There's no other way. And it's God who raises up the saints and builds them.
So that's why you talk so much about planting the right seeds.
Yeah. It's the game. Saints are the only consistent, recognizable pattern for culture change in the history of the world. In any person who's not a saint, I mean, again, you Alexander the Great, but like he played a role, I guess. He unified a lot of things, brought a lot of learning to a lot of different places, and customs, cultures, paved the way for the Roman Empire to spread as quickly as it did, and all these other things.
Every general after him has compared himself to Alexander the Great, and always will until the end of time.
Yep. So
that's the best of the pagan world, by the way.
That was a long time ago.
The most successful instantiation of pure masculine power.
But think about
is Alexander
who was
the
right
Great.
before him. Who did he learn from?
His dad. Well, Aristotle.
Yeah, and who was before that?
That would have been Plato, and then Socrates, and then
like,
you know,
has the West done anything meaningful since Aristotle and Plato?
I mean, there's a reason that we say all of philosophy is a footnote to Plato.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, I'm not smart enough to make that claim. I think about that sometimes. Yeah. How original and incredible that time period was.
I know. And it came out of the breakdown of the ancient Greek order. Plato is writing about the same time as the Peloponnesian War. So the breakdown in the civil, like, brother war destruction, self-destruction of the Greek world was what sparked Plato. The death of simple faith in the old gods was what gave Socrates and then Plato the freedom to imagine, what if there's one? What if, yeah. So the free thinking that comes into the Republic is one of the things that Plato said in that, or that Plato has Socrates say, is, man, it's a shame that we don't have the perfect instantiation of the image of God in the form of a man to tell us what is true. Wouldn't that be nice?
Dude. So, speaking about cultural decay and cultural moments, I think a lot about American Christianity. Yeah. And maybe I'm a part of this dissatisfaction with some elements of, now separate from just Christianity, Catholicism.
Sure.
There's a certain American brand of Catholicism, Christianity.
We're all Protestant a little bit in America.
We're all a little Protestant. We're all a little bit too horizontal. The sacramental view of reality is deficient. We're not. I mean, we're in the re-enchantment moment, but also the idea that everything's kind of convenient, everything's kind of safe.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's like someone else's job to do the hard work.
The existential burden does not intuitively fall upon us. We're renters, not owners.
Yes. And that's, I think people are more open to hearing, being challenged with that message now.
And that's a generational turn. Compare for a minute the millennials versus the Gen Z on that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about both. Millennials, well, I don't want to talk. What's your take on millennial men? Like, what were they like? And that's our generation.
Dude, you know you think about this way more than I do. Hit me.
I tried to give you the bait. Come on.
Yeah, you did, but you're more interesting in this regard.
Flattery will work. I think millennial men intentionally softened. I think our generation was taught if you want to be a good man, you have to be as progressive as possible and wear tight jeans. You have to have the goofy, twirly mustache. That was the hipster moment. The Pacific Northwest aesthetic became the hipster masculinity moment of the entire millennial population for like 5 years. Like pre-2012, basically, like 2007 to 15, maybe at most. It was post-grunge, it was Seattle, it was coffee, it was Keep Portland Weird. It was like, hey, I'm playing the bagpipes on a unicycle, I'm so quirky. It was like Internet 1.5, it was YouTube content creators like Rhett and Link. It was like intentionally goofy, self-deprecating, whimsical man boys. Like that was the millennial sauce. That's what we rejected, but it took a ton of psychological pain and intentional distancing and opposition to reject it. And it sticks on you. There's a little piece of that self-indulgence that sticks to you. But at the same time, millennial men were also the last generation that wanted to build a culture. So they went all in on idealism, all in on progressivism as a cohort. Like the Bernie Sanders bros are a millennial phenomenon. Not Gen X, not Gen Z. There's a moment in which it was like dirtbag socialists, like grungy, gritty, foul-mouthed, but also deeply, passionately committed to like healthcare for everyone. Like this weird kind of very grunge. It was Seattle post-grunge. So a little bit like a kind of effete, like precious, a little bit of internalized feminization as a signal that they weren't their uneducated, stupid boomer dad. But also they had some sort of heart for something bigger than themselves, and they wanted to join something good. But their instincts for that idealism were also tainted by the participation trophy nonsense they had in soccer clubs in the 90s. So they couldn't, I speak from experience there, everyone got a trophy. I was the least valuable member of the team usually. I got a trophy. That tells you something. So there's a, as you would say, there's a wound. Oh man,
it's a story.
John Packer, everything's a wound. Stevenson.
No way, dude. Kidding me?
Anyway, so that's millennials. Now talk about what it's like being a missionary to Gen Z men.
Man, sometimes I think you're so rational and how you explain it. I'm just like raw, hot intuition. And honestly, my best move I made with Gen Z was hiring Gavin Kunkel.
I was going to complete that sentence for you if you didn't.
So I know what I do understand is their deep thirst for masculine initiation, their hunger to be brought through a trial that then gives them some self-respect and a platform which to stand to survey their life anew.
And what millennial men thought was that masculine initiation had to be a self-conscious rejection of traditional masculinity.
Yeah, that was so dumb.
It was so dumb and so tragic.
Tragic.
Most of them did not escape that psychological trap. It was a psychological trap laid for them by education and PBS and woke college professors. It was before the internet had developed a full immune system against college wokeness.
There's a great quote by Dr. Mary Farr. I think she taught at Princeton, but she describes our cultural situation. She's a sociologist about like all the men. We've never been in a cultural moment like this where all the men were primarily raised by women in the home, and most of their teachers were women, and most of their educators in the faith were women, and most of and then like all the women that hung out with were in the same environment. And she's like, we don't know the impacts of this on our culture. In fact, it's never happened before in the history of the world, and we have no idea what is actually this means. We don't even know if viable men can come out of such a situation. Not that she was despairing; she was just describing like the scientific understanding. So that millennials. You're right. Before the internet coalesced, it gave us space to like push back. I feel like the Gillette commercial was the peak.
Yeah,
dude.
Peak.
And everyone was like, I think everyone after the Gillette commercial was like, screw you guys.
Can we take a beat?
I think we're going to say, you're an idiot, and I'm going to go do other things now.
Yeah.
I don't have to listen to you anymore.
Yeah, I'm mentally free now to stop listening.
Yeah, I remember watching that and being like repulsed by what they thought I was.
Yeah, their mental image of you was, was basically a cartoon.
Yeah.
No theory of mind for how your brain actually worked. Yeah. So Gen Z men, by contrast, they're down.
They seem like it. They don't have the hard part with Gen Z men. They don't have the natural ability, the natural grit. I would say the banks to the river. Like, they'll receive a lot of like force, water, like even from the Lord, like waters of the Spirit and enthusiasm. But oftentimes, if there's not banks to the river, it spreads out too widely, and it just sort of soaks into the ground, and then it's gone, or it just trickles out mile wide, inch deep. But there's something about a culture shaping force to a river that flows in the same direction for 50 years. And I think some people see that as boring. Some people see that as not what I want. And sometimes the river's not as high, but the banks to the river are the game changers. It's like farmers will rule the world. But if maybe just the farming mentality of, there's a great article on Substack. I don't know who wrote it, but it's about the building of. Well, I sent it to you. What was it called?
I think it was something about planting the seeds of the next Christendom.
Yeah,
something like that.
Planting the seeds of the next Christendom on Substack. Maybe you can link it at the bottom of this. I don't know. But I liked it so much because it called out Gen Z in the farming analogy. Do you remember the farming analogy in it? I don't. You're better at remembering things than I am. It was about like waking up every day.
I think it began and ended with. I think it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek, like internet slang retelling of the parable of the four soils.
Yeah.
So you know the story. Obviously,
Yes.
Jesus tells the story of the four soils. One is the path, hard-packed, trodden, not really receptive, but you got to throw the seed anyway because you don't know. The next one is the stony, in which is like great immediate response, Gen Z immediate response, but unable to like pull the rocks out and let the soil be deeper. No banks to the river, to use a different analogy. Third soil is cares and troubles. Yeah, the weeds growing in. It's like the tares overcome the wheat, and then you can't actually disentangle them. So that's the man who starts off well, but then gets distracted by what the cares of the world.
Love of riches too.
Yeah, yep. Texas.
We got money.
We got money, baby.
Yeah.
And then the fourth soil is the good one, and then that actually bears the fruit.
30, 60,
100-fold. Yeah, yeah.
Saints.
Planting the right seeds. But you have to plant a lot of seeds to get one saint.
Yeah.
And so that's okay. That's the game.
It's the game.
And so something I liked about that article, the other good point of it was you have to think of it like you're, and I say this with some distaste, you have to think of it like you're scaling a marketing funnel. Like you have to treat it like you're starting with the crowds and then pulling into the 70 and then pulling into the 12 and then pulling into the 3 and then pulling into John the Apostle. You have to be okay with that, but it's like permission to use the tools of American marketing like tactics, but for aims and goals that are much different from American goals and ends. And that's something we've talked about recently a lot as you've made a move from SPO to Texas A&M. Like there are a ton of resources at your disposal now.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people. You can't build a church big enough for all the students coming back. So one, what's that about? And two, what are the banks on that river? And three, how do you use that to play anything other than an American game, which will be a 10-year revival and then a couple cool new Catholic initiatives that come out of it and then nothing.
That's so good. So yeah, St. Mary's of Texas A&M is crazy. We got 500 people in OCIA. We have 6,000 people coming to Mass on Sundays. We have, probably, I don't even know the numbers, 2,000 or more in small groups. 9 focused missionaries. That's
a big team.
It's a big team. I think it's second biggest. Maybe UNL is bigger. I don't know. Someone who knows focus could correct me. But there's so much going on. And yet, how do we not play American Christianity game in such an environment? And that's, I don't know why I took this job, but some part of me knew.
You realize this will be published.
Well, yeah. So I know why I did the job. Some part of me knew I wouldn't have to be an American bureaucrat.
Okay.
I guess I hoped against hope, knowing that this is so big, so we're not going to be able to like most of my job is going to be different than working alongside a select few hungry men at Ohio State to see if we can perhaps get some of these seeds enough room to maybe sprout that perhaps they could be the 30, 60, 100-fold.
Right.
And even maybe give them language for when the thorns come up, to recognize the thorns and say, get out thorns, and not choke them up. I do that a lot too. But
get out thorns.
Bad thorns. What are we doing at Texas A&M is I think you just have to stabilize the masses in a way.
Mm-hmm. Tell them parables.
Enough
to tantalize but not say too much.
Yep. And
which feels weird to us as Americans because we want to say the whole thing to everyone right away.
Yeah. It's not it. It's almost like Jesus is smoking out the real ones. Yeah. It's almost like he knows most people won't get it.
Yeah.
But the ones who are curious, who are like,
they'll swim upstream.
Why do you talk like that?
Right.
Like I remember for me, I could not get the parable of the sower that you just retold out of my head when I heard it. I was like,
It echoes.
and he says at the end, he who has ears, let him hear.
Because it'll ping pong around your brain.
Yeah, it's like,
if it's calling you.
It's like, does this mean that it's up to me? How well, like the soil that I have, like how much is it up to me?
What are the implications here?
Yeah, like is this he who has ears, let him hear? Like I need to freaking hear this because part of me wanted to just go on to the next thing, to read the next passage.
Yeah,
and then I just stopped.
That's nice.
Yeah,
bye.
But for some reason, and that's grace. That's not necessarily me being a genius. I think that was grace of God causing me to stop. All faith is a gift, and so the real ones who God's already working in sort of hear it, and they linger on it, and then they kind of come in a little bit deeper, and you kind of have to offer that little bit deeper thing. And for us, that's probably a small group reality with the thousands going to mass and thousands kind of rotating around that large environment.
You're fishing. You're trolling around that pool, fishing for the fish.
And then in small group, they start coming more alive. Maybe they take on routine. They start trying to get banks. And I really want the language at St. Mary's to be quick to offer some banks. And Focus does that. They talk about the habits.
They stabilize people for the best of American Catholicism quickly, which is holiness.
Yeah.
But we're talking about holiness plus.
Yep.
Not just individualistic.
Yep.
We approach Mass by default as American Catholics as if we are widgets on an assembly line getting stamped, not family members getting fed for a feast.
Yeah.
We don't get it.
Yeah, family.
Eat and run Catholicism.
So
we don't get it. We do. I don't know. I'm a little salty because when I came into the church, I realized, nobody wants to shake my hand after Mass. Everybody wants to shake my hand during the sign of peace, except hypochondriac boomers who don't know it's not 2020 anymore. Why did I say that?
Sometimes Gen X.
Sometimes Gen X. But nobody wants to invite me to brunch after Mass. Like, we don't have a culture. Yeah. We have, and this is where I wanted to get into a little bit of the tradismatic fusion. Because you know who understands that we're a subculture under threat? Trads. You know who understands how to attract the best men and scale something horizontally? Charismatics. You know who has both? No one. Like, we need the verticality of the traditionalist movement because they have the long memory. But we need the horizontality of the charismatic movement because they have the replicability. They can actually plant more seeds outside of just high birth rate and being drawn in by fear or rejection of what the liberal Catholic Church is doing. I think that's the seed planting. How do we plant men who are both anchored and expanding? That's hard because it's like, hey, can you just give me a guy that has all the upsides of extroverts and introverts and none of the downsides, please? I'd like that.
It's really good. I'm seeing what's really hard in Gen Z, and this is in every generation as you're young coming into your faith, is American Christianity is too individualistic. It's me and God. And I go to the Mass that I want to go to because I like going to this Mass because I get the most out of it. Mm-hmm. How many times did I just say I right there?
All of them. All the times.
So it's I, me, and you're missing the point. Church is family. And you don't really pick the family you're born into. And I think the more scattered we are in our communities, the more we silo ourselves, and I think you say, I need the gift that some of my more traditional leaning brothers and sisters have to be in the church. Mm-hmm. And I think I know some people who do that really well. Our liturgy guy at Texas A&M is, I tell him all the time, you're the best liturgy guy in the country. And I'm not just gassing him up.
He probably is.
He understands beautiful, reverent liturgy.
He gets it.
Altar servers, just anywhere from this dude's the pledge class captain of Sigma Chi at Texas A&M is his liturgy intern because this guy just wants to be leading and helping with
masculine excellence.
He's a high school quarterback in West Austin.
Love it.
He's a dog and he wants to be around this kind of quieter, in the best way, kind of somewhat nerdier liturgy guy because this guy freaking gets it. He's a man and he's excellent. And guys yearn for that excellence. So, yeah, does that I started, but do you want to?
The quarterback as the altar server, that's kind of the synthesis we're looking for.
Yes.
But then to also have that quarterback be able to anchor and set a masculine environment that's not liturgical.
Yeah, he's also a convert. Didn't say that.
Love it.
But you're right. That's not.
That's hard to find.
Set the environment. So that's the men's stuff, and the men's environment is vital.
How did you learn how to set that, by the way?
The core of cadets. Probably. I mean, I went to all guys high
that
school
makes
run
sense.
by Cistercian monks.
That makes sense.
So I understood the rowdiness.
Yeah.
And how to give enough space for masculine edge to happen.
What does rowdiness unlock for a group of men?
Well, I think I like Eldridge's stages. I think it goes boyhood, cowboy, warrior, lover, king, sage, or 6 stages of masculine initiation, and they're not necessarily like one starts, one stops. There's a progression to them, but they weave, and you hear.
There's not. It's not fully linear. It's like the life of the church. It's both circular because it's liturgical, but it's also linear because it's going to the end.
Yep. I had a great cowboy years. I'm very, very blessed to have great cowboy years. Going to ranches in high school, going fishing at lunch in my high school and catching fish and throwing the fish in the teacher's desk and hiding the chalk so they have to open up, and like dumping kids' desks, throwing the desks on the roof of the building, traveling last second to Austin to go party with people because we're doing a visit to A&M, but we want to go to Austin first and eating at Hooters on the way down. It's just like kind of like not stuff you're always proud of, but it was just cowboy stuff. You
had initiation through rowdiness.
And it was something, and I was with my friends. And then in college, doing the Corps of Cadets, you do a lot of crazy things, a lot of 5 a.m. workouts.
Getting smoked waking up by upperclassmen all the time.
Waking up freshmen with face paint and death metal on at 5 a.m. and getting them to go on 5-mile runs, high porting rifles, and just kind of like cowboy stuff. Random buddy trips late at night, doing Indian runs in your cars on I-45 driving to Dallas.
Love it.
And so I think nowadays, men really miss the cowboy stages.
I never had that.
Yeah.
I had robotics club in high school, and then I went to 1,000-person nerdy Baptist engineering college, ironically a few hours away.
Yeah.
A few years later from where you went. So I had to, my masculine initiation was a lonely journey in the desert of collapse of narrative and discovery of the sacramental. That was my 20s. You had that initiation collectively with rowdy dudes in your teens, which I think is probably why you're more intuitively with the guys first, and I'm more instinctively driven to intellectualize first. Because that's how both of us survived and were initiated. So what I've always admired about you is that you can enter a room and without apparent effort kind of stir it higher. Whereas I have to be in a very particular room to take it higher by intellectualization, because fewer men want to play that game first. Yeah.
And what I love about you is that I actually... mine doesn't really scale. If I'm in the room or not, and it's kind of sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But for you, ideas can actually take on a life and go. And I can't explain it, but you can explain it. Like when I give talks, it's usually just like raw, hot intuition things, and some guys like it, most guys don't. So but you can kind of coalesce, and bring these things together and higher.
But we're doing this room because the arena is not for me. Right? And that was kind of sad for me when I realized the arena is not about what I want to say.
Yeah.
The arena is about sit down and then prepare to be in brotherhood for the first time in your lonely life. And then maybe you can figure out that Jesus is the best brother and that he's going to give life to your brothers around you in small groups. And that's it.
Yep.
That's the arena. It's like the arena is a series of extended invitations to true masculine initiation through brotherhood. And that's not the room that needs me most. Now, ideas that we talk about in this room are going to inform the men in the arena that are curious about what's up the chain. But again, it's like most will not care. And that's okay. God didn't make most people to care about what I care about. Which is always, so there's kind of what I've had to give up is the orphan spirit of loneliness that takes that solo call to be the translator. I'm not quite Moses. I'm not the guy who's getting words like of the next 1,000 years. I'm the translator. My brother is more of a Moses type. Like he's doing pure philosophy. I'm more of the popularizer. I'm much more of a Jordan Peterson or Jonathan Pageau than I am the theoretician.
Yep.
And that's fun. I like that. But that's kind of a lonely, solitary role of going up and down a lot, trying to fill more levels in the metaphysical hierarchy than I'm comfortable in. A little bit placeless. And so coming to love that task, to be the bridge builder, to see that as a joy to get to just run after that and to see God's heart in that. That's been my, from cowboy to warrior, from warrior to lover. It's like, that's actually, God has entrusted me with something that he's not given to most, which is to be a solitary thinker who at the same time is called to connect many men through those ideas.
Oh, it's good.
But it's been hard to fully accept that about my own role, because I wanted to be Gavin, just in a pure candor. Like, I wanted to have what I have and also what you and Gavin and Tim and Mitch and Kibi have. And that's tough.
Yeah, it's not always cracked up to be. It's still lonely at times. And it doesn't always, what do I want to say? Different gifts in the body of Christ. And I think for me, I'm not that good of a galvanizer. Again, I realize I can't galvanize Gen Z that well.
But you can attract the galvanizers. And you know who to hire. You know who to hire.
That's a gift. And I mean, you're not always right. But yeah, I've had some really talented people around me in my life.
Thanks.
And yeah, Gen Z.
Gen Z is simultaneously the hope and the trial.
Yeah. We kind of got off a little bit on the charismatic stuff, but I think I agree with you that that's the future of, I mean, like, think about it. It's the two dimensions of the church, institutional, charismatic. I know it doesn't mean charismatic in the sense of like, put your hands up when you hear a praise song.
Sure.
But it's the form and the spirit. It's the masculine and the feminine. I don't know if
it
that's
is
helpful.
100%.
Yeah, but
it's the fire and the fireplace.
I don't want to. Yeah, and so I think I would love to see a future where we kind of lay down our weapons a little bit and realize we have something to learn from each other. And like, I think the saints of the future, and the saints always were deeply reverent, imbued in the church's history and liturgy and like the lens in which they viewed reality. Yet they were completely open to the Holy Spirit. They weren't obsessed with control.
Perfect seeds.
They were open, perfect seeds. They were open to the promptings of the Holy Spirit. They knew that God was living and active, and they encountered him in prayer deeply, and not always in their emotions, but certainly in their core and
true contemplation
as a gift, not something they
clung to. It wasn't grasped.
Yeah, because
it wasn't manufactured.
Self-emptying, the openness, playing the right game, like all these things were deep, and they're gifted, right? And so all this is a gift from the Lord. But it's almost like I've been thinking about this recently. Something clicked. Usually progress happens in my life when I get desperate. When I try to like have my cake and eat it too. Like, I want a prayer life, but I'm not really willing to like work that hard at it. It doesn't really happen. If I'm just like, at some point I'm just like I need this, no other excuses.
I'll die.
It has to freaking happen.
Yeah.
Then look at that, it happens. And I think men today oftentimes are half-hearted in there, and that's to be a man. To be part of it, obviously, there's compromise in life, but for the things that are most important, I think we have to like punch it in the face and go grab it and take it. And I don't think guys have that ability to do that.
There's learned helplessness. Millennial men were institution builders, are institution builders, but they don't have the aggression because they got feminized and did not have the ability to reject that feminization. They embraced it.
They don't think that to be aggressive is a good trait.
Correct.
And then my life changed when I realized proper aggression is actually of the Lord.
Yeah. Amen.
And it's given to me. I use it in unhelpful ways in the beginning. I would like get in fights on the basketball court when I was like 23.
Love it.
Because I was kind of a nice guy. There was a part of me that was very much like turned into nice guy Christianity. But that would just kind of bend the reed back a little bit on the other end. So it could snap back more towards the middle. But aggression was hugely important for me. And I think a lot of guys would benefit from getting more pissed at their apathy with their sin.
Wow.
And if whatever it freaking takes, this needs. I'm done with this part of my life, having the main being on the stage as prominent as it is.
You know who prepared me to do that?
Huh?
You know.
I mean, the answer is usually Kibi, but
before him,
Gordy.
Before him,
Jesus.
After him.
Okay, what is he?
Pose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were talking about him on the way back from the men's retreat this weekend.
Yes.
Mike Pose is the one that taught me how to do that, because he simply presented the call without bending it, without saying, he's like, this call, the call of masculinity will not lower itself for you. Do you want to have what it takes? That's my rephrase of what he told me, but that's what I heard, right?
Yeah.
It's like, the bar is here and rising, by the way. Do you want to chase it or not? Yeah. It's like, yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
And he was the first one to encapsulate that. My dad gave me, Dan Mullen's the best of us, by the way.
Yes.
Dan Mullen gave me the ability to respond to that call when I heard it as an adult. And that's the gift of my adolescence with Dan, the warrior heart. And then Mike called it into greater fire. He was the first one to give that challenge. I'd been yearning to hear that challenge, which I heard as, do you want to run as fast as you possibly can for the rest of your life after the best thing you can envision? And I was like, I think I'd like that.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Like, I'm having a hard time not like yelling right now, because it's just it just puts more of you within. It makes you feel like you're bursting out of your own skin. Yeah. The first time you really allow yourself to be put on fire by that call.
And the what's funny, what I've learned in that call that I experienced too, is fire as burning me and almost wanting to explode out of me.
Yeah.
Is as I've gotten older, I've gotten more contact. I don't know if this is helpful for younger, but I've gotten more contact with how much I suck, how much I can't live that to the degree that my heart yearns for. And it doesn't mean I quit. What it means is my desire to do so becomes the fire. And the gap between my desire and what actually happens in my life, as I get more honest with myself, is it gets painful. And it's in that pain of that gap that the God enters into. And I experience actually God's love in a different way than I had before. And even his power in a different way than I had before. And it's like the game, in some ways, the game is changing in my life in my mid to late 30s.
I was going to say, is that like the married and kids, like middle third of life, what it has to offer you?
You can let that beat you down. You can let that hold you up in American Catholicism with your white picket fence, your 2.1 kids, your, hopefully one day your Chevy Tahoe or Suburban if you have enough kids, and
you might survive the midlife crisis.
Yeah,
you might stuff it in that life.
Yeah, and it's so to realize, because what happens is most people see the call and it's just too much, and that's because when you're 20s you can chase it in a certain purity and intensity,
and you imagine it'll always be available to you. Yep, in that clarity.
But that desire is not shifted, but my ability to, I just realize I'm just so freaking tired, and I don't have brothers in my house right now to say, dude, let's go out back and run some stairs, or let's go do something fun, or let's get you out of your funk. And your
environment is shifted.
It's I still have pockets of that, but for the most part, no. So what I have is a gap. And what causes that gap is how much I suck, my sinfulness, my small-mindedness, that I don't got it.
Because you can't cover it up with raw anymore.
Yeah. So Jesus enters into that gap and changes the way I relate to my sinfulness, and particularly his love. And that love can perhaps become the seed that maybe finally can be sown that could actually potentially participate with him to hopefully one day change my sphere. Mm-hmm. My kids, my wife, my community, and who knows how big the tree can be. Jesus doesn't put a limit on it. 30, 60, 100-fold. That's the dream. But it's not necessarily my careful planning. It's my dying in the right place. And that death is a death to my ego and thinking that I can do it. It sounds really, but because I think I've gone through this massive initiation, I have this forward momentum in life. So I'm not saying that's not important. Mm-hmm. It's not saying I show up to work and I'm like, well, it's all God's work.
Time to die today.
Yeah. Hey guys, what do you think? But it is this, like, I'm just dying. I'm still dying, because you're dying right now. You're dying right now in your 20s, your 30s. And but it's just dying like more intelligently, I think. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It makes total sense to me. Yeah. I hope it makes sense to those listening.
And it could be really just bookmark that for 10 years from now if you're listening.
That's the nub of the whole hour of conversation right there. Yeah. Is you have to be initiated so that you can be brought to the point of your own insufficiency. and then you can plant a better seed. But I think that's the loneliness of the king. Remember, boy to cowboy, cowboy to warrior, warrior to lover, lover to king. Before the king gets to become a sage and reclaim the boy, like the boyhood, he has to die to almost all the previous phases. The king is stationary. All else circles around the king in the kingdom. The king is almost a symbol of the coming grave because he is stasis. Like, you are the anchor and the tent peg of your home. You set the boundary. You are at the center. That's proper Catholic patriarchy. But that's a place of suffering because you're holding up the entire house on your back. And obviously there's roles for the wife and children within that, but if you don't set the frame and hold the line, then snakes will get into the garden in about 2 seconds. And so that is like, stay there and die there every day until these children are ready to leave. And then finish well with the same woman you began the journey with.
Yeah. And people underestimate that ability to change the world.
Because it doesn't seem like it scales. It doesn't feel like it's going to instinctively scale into a changed culture.
But Jesus says 30, 60, 100-fold. The banks of the river carve out the Grand Canyon over generations. This is my big thing is Catholics, we think in 500-year chunks. Mm-hmm. We're not thinking in one generation to the next. And what we do, we care about that, but ultimately we're cathedral builders.
And that's the vertical of the traditional. The traditional Catholic mind understands that deep, deep, deep verticality. Yeah. Their imagination goes all the way down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and all the way up to the sky above. They understand it. What they have a hard time doing is getting out of the banks of their ideological river. They can't find more wells and more water to bring into that canyon carving process. Whereas the charismatic is just like the flash flood that's...
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is channel the flood of the Spirit's power, giving charisms to the church, to carve deep. We're trying to channel the entirety of a flash flood into this tiny 6-foot wide groove. And that, I think, builds cathedrals in Christendom over time. Like St. Benedict managed to set up an institution that attracted the best men of every generation to the monasteries for like 10 in a row. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. And it helps that the world around was so institutionally bankrupt.
The world sucked.
Yeah. And we're caught in the gap between flourishing and bankrupt. Like we're not...
But there's too much numbness.
There's too much numbness yet.
Yeah, we're entertained to death. Yeah. Slow drip. No one's free from the scrolling. Yeah. It's numbing us out.
We're all anesthetized.
Yeah.
The anesthetic is still strong.
So the real ones are going to figure out how to unplug. And not completely, but we can talk about this weekend at the men's retreat we're on about attention.
Yeah.
Like, are going to be able to understand the currency of their attention and where to spend that properly.
Yeah. Attention is a channeling. And attention is ultimately a sacramental grace. Yeah. Because attention is the currency of reality itself. And sacraments are merely perfect symbols that attract and channel attention properly. Which is why, again, I love the trads, because they understand that liturgy is the highest act that we will ever do on this earth. I want to give the rest of my life to building up the tradismatic synthesis. We need a better name, but but that kind of combination, because that's the central image of our faith is the cross.
It's to be Catholic.
It's to be Catholic. It's the crucified Lord, the heartbeat of the crucified Lord is at the center of the intersection of the vertical and the horizontal beams of the cross.
Yes.
It's the verticality of the depth, it's the horizontality of the spread, it's the flash flood and the Grand Canyon. It's boom, it's both. It's both.
It's Catholic.
It's Catholic.
This is how we understand ourselves. And I agree that to have an artificial severing through trust, institutional lack of communication, I don't know. But if this can be bridged, it's a worthy cause to devote your life to.
It's a good place to die.
Good place to die.
That's probably a good place to wrap it up. Can I pray for you before you go back to Texas?
Yeah, dude.
I'd love that.
Please.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord Jesus, you've drawn us both into the mission. Lord, you, in your humorous providence, decided that Packer would get me into SPO as my first boss, and then he would be called to Texas A&M to plant seeds in a different location. Lord, Packer's the one that initiated me into my givenness to the men of Columbus, and you know that he has the capacity to walk alongside men faithfully in high and low places. And he's done that for me, and I know he's going to do that for the men around him in Texas. So, Spirit, would you give him the ability to do that patiently and to bear the burdens and the joys of kind of the middle third of life phase that he's in now, that he would be, as he's increasingly 10, 15, 20 years ahead of the men that he's mentoring, that you would give him all of the passion of his early years, all of the drive of his middle years, and then all of the wisdom of his coming middle age years, that he would not ever be crushed under the weight of the burden of the kingship that you've given him, but that you would welcome him into the resurrection of Christ as he gives it to you and makes a more perfect surrender so that he can be a more perfect planted seed. And Jesus, we ask that you would do all of this by the power of your name. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Thanks for taking the time, man. It's been an honor having you on the forum.
It's been great being here. Go Bucks.